Well, life delivers challenges to everyone, and learning to deal with some of them can be a real struggle, especially for kids. In this week's edition of Beach Reads, we look at the debut book from a longtime marketing professional, mother, and now author. Lolly the Left Out Lobster follows a journey of a little lobster who gets swept away in a storm and finds herself lost in the forest. When she encounters other animals, some don't treat her well because she is different. And I know, big picture, a lot of us may be able to relate to that. So joining us here in studio this morning to share with us some of the ways Lolly perseveres is the author, Allison Hill. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for joining us and for writing this book. What exactly led you to writing this book about this topic?
So I think, well, one, I always wanted to write a kid's book. We all have like our side hustle dreams, and that was one of them. And I remembered a funny story that my dad used to tell my kids about a lobster that lived in the woods.
Right.
So that was in my head. And then with my career, most currently in social impact and DEI, I was thinking about that story, and I'm like, yeah, what if a lobster did get lost in the woods? How would it get there? And more importantly, how would it make new friends to find its way home? And so the lobster is perceived as like this scary little thing. So thought that would be like the perfect setting. To start sharing that message.
So speaking of Lolly's new friends, how did she make new friends and eventually find her way back home?
Well, I think she first and foremost had to be brave and vulnerable and go up to a stranger and say, may I get some help from you?
Yeah.
And then she
Which
had
is
to,
hard to do.
So hard to do.
Kids and adults.
For everybody, right? Especially when you don't know someone, to try to go up and be their friend. And then she tries it a few times and gets declined. And the characters are based on like human characteristics. And then finally she runs into a pack of dogs who save the day and like really exemplifying unconditional love from certain people. Like that's the dog.
Of course it would be a dog, right?
And so the dog pack, they figure it out, they get her home, they reprimand the other animals, and then they all become friends and eat ice cream at the end. So it's just a cute little tale. And yeah, so that's how she makes it back.
I love it. So the target age group for your book is age 3 to 6. And I feel like that is really an age where kids are starting to pick up social cues. They're in daycare, they're learning about sharing, things like that. But how much is it for kids, but also adults too? And their parents to kind of teach them and lead the way a little bit here.
Yeah, I think what I love about the story, it's very simple. It's simple animals. So at that young age, you can easily teach those lessons. But my favorite part of the book is the back of the book, where I collaborated with my best friend who's a therapist. I joke that she's been therapizing me for years and years. And so what she did was help map out helpful hints for adults. And I think they can really apply to kids and adults, or even me as a mother of now grown children, of just modeling some of those behaviors, how to have courage, how to be vulnerable, how to help somebody if they feel left out. So I think it's good for children and adults.
I always knew that kids, babies, they model what they see. And now being the mom of a 16-month-old, I know that very, very well. Everything I do, he wants to copy. But you have led social initiatives for a private equity firm and have written a family cookbook with your family, which is really awesome.
Yes.
How might Feeding Family, Feeding America share some of the messages found in Lolly, especially when it comes to kindness and dealing with others?
Yeah, I think COVID was such an interesting time, especially with kids that were high school age, where they were like, gosh, I feel guilty for feeling bad that prom was canceled when I see the drone video of the Austin Food Bank on TV. And I was like, go grieve your losses. They're your losses. And then when you come back downstairs after you cry it out, we're going to sit down as a family and see what we can do to help. And that's really how that came about, because I didn't want it only to be about disappointments or losing out. It was a family project that we could give back and also develop some positive memories. And I think to this day they're proud of it. So we laugh that we sold so many copies because as a mom, it was exactly that. Like, how do you deal with disappointments, but then find like a shining light to help others within that?
Yeah, and then, I mean, those are lessons that your kids will take on for life, you know, and that's our goal as parents, right? You hope so. Are you listening? Hello? But that's our goal as parents. So, wow, Allison, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. In the book, Lolly, the Left Out Lobster. There it is right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Okay.
All right, coming up after the break, it's